whole TAP-G super quality primate training obedience course is going. Did you run out of bananas after I warned you that 4 bunches were not going to be enough for one gorilla? Oh, has he already caused over $5,000 worth of property damage? Alright, give me a sec.
Holy smoke! Did you just...
Yeah, horse tranquilizer.
Why do you have that? And why did you loan me that when I started?
You really think I trust you with a tranquilizer gun? What are you training him to do anyway?
Well, kidnap women and throw barrels at Italian carpenters. I mean, you know, the usual.
Please don't say huge.
Psh, you know I'm on fleek.
Please just stop. Come on, man. Let's hurry up and do this episode before he wakes up.
Hello, I'm TAP-G.
And I'm SurferClock.
And welcome to What's the Attraction?
Waterworks Your Vacation. Gorillas, huh? They've been utilized in popular culture from Tarzan to Donkey Kong. Even the DC comic universe has had no fewer than 5 characters that are gorillas. Seriously.
And that's not even including the 2 occasions in the comics where Superman's buddy Jimmy Olsen was turned into a gorilla. Just in case you needed yet another reason to watch the Avengers over Batman v Superman.
Yet arguably the most famous gorilla of all stormed the silver screen in 1933 in King Kong. The gargantuan primate revolutionized cinema forever with its practical effects, and the story of the ape has captured the public's imagination so fiercely the film was remade in 1976 and later again in 2005. But before we can talk about the new ride, we have to talk about the original King Kong attraction. Let's rewind the tape deck all the way back to 1986.
When a beautiful miracle came into the world.
Also, TAP-G was born.
Ow!
Sorry, man. It was way too easy. Anyway, that year, King Kong made his debut at Universal Studios Hollywood. He was part of the Universal Studios Tram Tour, and at 7 tons and 30 feet tall, was one of the biggest animatronics ever built. No surprise, considering the ape was designed by one of Walt Disney's original Disneyland Imagineers, Bob Gurr. He put so much detail into Kong, he even gave him banana breath.
Try Kong today. Half the calories, double the potassium. Now available at your local Albertsons, Stop and Shop, Shaw's, Publix, Winn-Dixie, Piggly Wiggly, and of course, Staples. Hashtag needing a sponsor. Hashtag someone please sponsor us.
Kong was such a big hit that 4 years later, he got his own attraction in Universal Studios' brand new park in Florida called Kongfrontation. Aside from being its own ride, rather than just part of a tram tour, here the Congo Colossus was based off the 1976 movie.
This ride lasted until 2002, when Brendan Fraser and his desire for coffee took over and became Revenge of the Mummy. Now, one would think this would be the end of the story of the 8th wonder of the world. But nope, soon we'd see Kong enact his furry vengeance on Fraser. What was... Did I make a joke? I don't get it. I just wanted to see him back in action. What? You got a monkey bone to pick with me? I'm just saying I should have seen a Kong crossover with George of the Jungle. Schmo and Tapford, you promised me you'd write me gold! And you promised me a paycheck last week, right on ruddy Brendan Fraser jokes. You know what? Fine. Let me just go on IMDb real quick here. I am just so bedazzled by your scrubs as you Dudley do right like an Encino man. Someone please like me.
Friends don't let friends write bad Brendan Fraser jokes so that they can fulfill emotional voids in their lives on YouTube. The more you know. Anyway, that wasn't the end. In 2015, guests noticed brush clearing out from behind the Jurassic Park River adventure, though few knew why or for what reason. It wasn't until May 6th of 2016 when Universal finally broke the silence and released its plans to build a ride based off of Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong movie. And why in Camp Jurassic? Possibly because since there were Tyrannosaurs, Velociraptors, and Apatosauruses all in that.
Brontosauruses.
What?
Brontosauruses.
That's what I said. Sort of.
By calling the stampeding sauropods Apatosauruses, you have lent an aura of authenticity to a clearly fictitious scenario.
Beg pardon?
We will temporarily ignore any and all chronological errors regarding Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods, considering Skull Island is an isolated and present-day setting. The raptors, for example, don't have feathers, ergo they are a representation of what was a well-intentioned yet misguided paleontologists' perceived of various dinosaur species back in the 30s.
Then why aren't the Tyrannosaurs upright?
That was a good theory.
Well, regardless, the thing to remember that Skull Island isn't technically in Camp Jurassic. It's its own separate island. I guess the dinosaurs just made it being near Camp Jurassic a foregone conclusion.
Skull Island Reign of Kong began soft opening June 9th and began doing test runs, all the while not revealing the grand opening date aside from the ambiguous and mysterious Summer 2016. Then suddenly, on July 14th, 2016, Universal finally unleashed the gorilla's wrath upon the world with little to no prior announcement.
So what happens on the island lost in the mists of time that's sending tourists when there have been 3 movies detailing why that is a very, very bad idea?
Next to the other island where Mr. John Hammond should have learned the same friggin' lesson?
So we enter the queue, which wastes no time in establishing the tone of the ride. Lots of dark imagery with human skulls, posts with roaring ape engravings, bamboo posts latched together with human hair. But the overhead spieling narrative of the radio keeps the atmosphere from getting too scary as you prepare to embark on your journey into the jungle. TAP-G, I see that look in your eye. Oh, I just got the joke. You don't need to...
Too late!
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle. Broadcast.
All right, we get it. So it bears a striking resemblance to the Jungle Cruise, but it shifts the elements a bit further towards dark. While edgy and grisly elements are more pronounced here, the overhead narration is decidedly less tongue-in-cheek. It lightens things up, but without making the whole thing like a big joke, like over at the Magic Kingdom. It just kind of takes the edge off.
Once you weave around the loops and twists of the outdoor queue, you find yourself inside, where it's supposed to actually get scary, right? For me, Mr. Afraid of the Haunted Mansion? Well, you smooth right it is! Scary, I never thought to pick up one of those skulls and cry out, Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio, the fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how abhorred in my imagination it is.
And speaking of taking arms into a sea of troubles, you soon find the natives of the mysterious isle aren't too pleased to have outsiders.
Ignoring the electric lights and emergency exit signs they so nicely installed for us.
And you find a couple of surprises. A screen on the left features one trying to scare you off. A voodoo person, is a fully moving animatronic that curses tongues at the patrons.
Google Translate, don't fail me now. Please turn the flash off your cameras. Please turn the flash off your cameras. Please oh.
And if you're lucky, you might find one of Universal's characters, real, authentic native trying to dissuade you from going into Kong's territory. Did you heed his warning? If you did, turn to page 26. If you choose to go ahead anyway, turn to the next page.
Eventually, the queue takes you to the loading dock, where you get your obligatory 3D glasses. It is Universal's attraction, after all. Statistically, it's the 6th 3D attraction at the 2 parks. You board the jumbo-sized Jeep, complete with guard wires for oh, no, it's not dangerous. Those are for Wi-Fi?
The Jeep rolls off, either straight into the show building or around and through the famous giant gates. This actually allows the ride to adopt itself around inclement weather conditions, making it one of the first attractions to actually do so. But let's just say the experience loses a little something if you don't enter through the gates and say something like,
What do they got in there, King Kong?
Unoriginal, but nothing beats iconography.
You enter Casa de Kong, where you come across a skeleton of one of his ancestors. Personally, I've always found personal family shrines in living rooms a bit kitschy, but there's a reason I don't host a TLC reality show. Anyway, you go deeper into the cave and come across not Andero, but expedition leader Kate McCaffrey, sporting a wardrobe from vintage Launchpad McQuack, and a true pioneer as a
strong, independent woman.
But suddenly, things go awry when Ace Ventura's worst nightmare flood out of the back of the cave.
Yo, the name is Patrick, the logic is erratic.
Suddenly, a familiar-looking shadow looms from the back of the cave. Who could have disturbed all these bats? Who bears such a petty grudge against man-sized bats? Wouldn't you like to know?
The Jeep lurches out of the cave and into the canyon. You remember the one from the movie. All those giant spiders and carnivorous worm creatures and other monstrosities from the darkest recesses of your nightmares are here and encroaching on Kate, while you can only passively observe because clearly you don't need to sleep anytime soon, right?
Suddenly, a giant claw nabs Kate, and all the hungry giant buds turn their sights on you. The Jeep guns it into the jungle, out of the muddy canyon. Safe, right? Better throw in a friggin' pack of velociraptors into the mix. They race alongside the Jeep, with nary a Chris Pratt in sight. The Jeep slows to a stop at a cliff's edge, where they suddenly don't have to worry about those raptors anymore. Why? Well, 3 hungry tyrannosaurs would certainly distract them. Wait, hang on. A T-Rex eating a raptor? Quick, someone play me some John Williams music and drop an ironically themed banner!
When suddenly... Kong storms in, beating his chest and not putting up with any reptilian shenanigans. Kong single-handedly wrangles with the prehistoric monsters, disposing of 2, but as the cliff crumbles away, the Jeep and the third T-Rex tumble over the edge. Thankfully, some well-placed, insanely strong vines catch us all. Kong joins us and throws the tiny armed terror into the abyss, which jostles you loose as well, until Kong amicably catches us.
Aww! That's so sweet, I almost forgot he eats human sacrifices on a habitual basis.
As your Jeep rounds the corner comes the money shot. At 30 feet tall and 18 feet wide, Kong eyes the passengers in the vehicle suspiciously. And this animatronic is beautiful. Absolutely enormous and has some incredible mechanics operating the face that capture the nuance and subtlety of a creature that large.
A giant, intelligent, potentially dangerous wild animal held against his will at a Florida theme park? It's no bigger than a bathtub! Boycott Universal! Tanks, but no tanks! Watch Black Ape!
And just to top off this adventure, guess who makes it back none the worse for wear? Kate. She announces herself over the intercom and doesn't even bother telling us how she managed to not, die. In any case, she returned back to the unloading dock, now hopefully with a newfound respect for nature.
At least as far as Jane Goodall's concerned.
I thought she studied chimps.
Oh, close enough.
Monkey!
Come on, let's discuss this before he comes to.
Well, what do we think? Did this ride succeed, this great summer opening?
I want to say yes, most definitely.
Let's talk about the great stuff first. First of all, the queue. I personally think that the queue is actually better than the ride. Now, it's not meant to be a backhanded compliment. I think the ride is good, but the queue is phenomenal.
A lot of queues don't really, they do tell the story of the attraction, and, this has been the standard, this has been the norm for so many years now. But this queue takes it to the next level.
There is so much detail here, and there is so much surrounding you. I mean, it kind of makes you laugh when you think about all the old days when they used to just have these metal railings and bullpens before you went into a ride. It was always an afterthought, but here they really did a great job setting up what you're getting yourself into.
There's a lot of intricate care that was taken with it, and of course you can't go through this queue without mentioning the characters, which stroke of brilliance right there.
Especially since you're in this single file hallway when it pops out of the holes, and then there's a little pool, a little room where everyone just kind of weaves around each other. The music plays some very subtle musical stings. You have people hyped up on adrenaline. You have people spooking each other. You have very nervous people who just didn't expect it. It's psychological fright and planning at its finest. It is brilliant.
Yes, absolutely brilliant. Let's move on a little bit to the ride itself.
Oh, yeah, there's a ride.
Yeah, there is a ride. And yes, one of the great things about this ride is that from the very start, it encourages rewritability. How? Because there are actually a set of 5 different driver characters, which will be narrating through the beginning and part, the middle and part of the end as well. There's actually, you can get one of 5 different
drivers, narrators.
Yes. On my most recent ride through, I actually got a native of the island.
Kind of like Wilson from Kilimanjaro Safaris in Animal Kingdom, right?
A little bit, yes. But, her story did really lend a bit of authenticity to it all. And it kind of excuses some of the weirder stuff that goes on in the attraction, but we'll talk about that when we get there. One of the last truly great things about this attraction, truly great, you cannot say that this is not a really great thing. The animatronic at the end of the ride.
Oh my gosh!
It is one of the most amazing creations I have seen from a theme park in a very long time.
There are books and blogs written about the amazing animatronics that Disney's built over the years, everything from Haunted Mansion and Pirates and Tiki Room all the way to today. And yeah, Disney's still great, but there is something mind-blowingly amazing about this Kong animatronic at the end. Being at its size, it allows a lot of very subtle nuances to it, so it actually looks like a big creature is thinking. And you can see the gears moving in its head in a figurative sense, like it's thinking. It's beautiful.
It is just incredible. It's hard to describe it, and honestly, videos on YouTube don't do it justice. You have to see it in person. It is one of the most incredible theme park. I would argue to say it's one of the most incredible theme park creations of the recent era.
And it's a fantastic homage to the original Kong animatronic from way back when.
Yes. Now, I know we'll have some fans listening that have actually ridden the original Confrontation when it was at Universal Studios Florida. There are homages to the original attraction, not the least of which are Kong catching you at the bottom, which is a subtle nod to the cable car falling in the actual attraction itself back in the day. And this Kong, you'll notice, actually has banana breath, which we touched on a little bit earlier, but this was actually something that was included in the original Kong. So it's nice to see it come back here. Nice little nostalgic touches. It shows that Universal remembers what made the original so great.
And yet adding its own great touches. It's a lot like the Peter Jackson King Kong movie. Lots of great homages to the 1933 film. It was great, but let's amp it up and make it better. And that's exactly what's going on here. I even love the animatronic of the voodoo priest person in the queue.
Oh, yeah.
That's really great. I mean, it just allows you a taste of what you're getting yourself into.
Exactly. It's like just a little piece of the much larger kind of puzzle that, this attraction throws together for you. And speaking of things that are puzzling, let's talk about the story.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like about this more than anything is the pacing. We're all going to this lost island. Great, that happens a lot. So we're going on a jeep ride through the jungle, and every few seconds something is coming after you. It's stuff in the canyon, then it's raptors, then it's a T-Rex, then it's Kong himself. It's like, okay, could you let us slow down for a minute, catch our breath, maybe give us a sense of false security, and then springing something on us? It's so rushed and so poorly paced. It really actually jostled me out of the story quite a bit.
Yeah, there's a sense of there's kind of a lack of believability because, as we did mention early on, this is a 3D attraction. You'll receive 3D glasses.
Yeah.
So
that's a hot point of contention. It's a very divisive thing to have all these screen rides with the 3D screens.
Yeah, I mean, Universal Orlando Resort alone has 6 of these attractions. So it's kind of become a big thing for them. It is a little bit of what has made them so well liked, but at the same time so reviled by, more of the traditionalist theme park fans.
Really, it just comes down to personal preference. It kind of works here, but thankfully there are some practical effects to help balance it out.
Yeah, like I did like the bat things at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
Those are really nice. But it was just so subtle of a hint as to what was coming. It's
yeah.
But there's something about the screens as well that kind of takes you out of the immersion of it. You have these great practical effects. You've walked through this entire queue, and then you get screens.
It's a lot like Gringotts that way. You go through all these set pieces, and you're expecting something great. And granted, you do, because it does allow for a lot of authenticity from, so you know what you're looking at. But on the other hand, it's like, really, you couldn't have just done a little bit better with this?
Yeah, I mean, it loses a little bit of that immersion, but there's another point of contention as well. You had mentioned it to me earlier, but it's the way that the ride ends.
Yeah, I understand the whole Kong is a god thing to the natives. That he's big, destructive, powerful force of nature, but he demands sacrifices. A very old god sense, but I still figure him as just a giant gorilla and nothing more. Very territorial, very aggressive. So what happens to the ride? He wrangles, he fights, he beats stuff up, and then he catches you. Now, what is a Jeep to Kong? It's a loud, clanging, noisy, smelly machine, but yet he catches you because it's the nice thing to do. I love my Disney rides, but that was just a little too saccharine for me.
It is a little cheesy, but at the same time, there's not even now, normally Kong has a quote-unquote love interest, the sort of thing that makes him have that little bit of human emotion. And this
Right.
rang true in the movies from the 33 to the 76 to even the 2005.
Right.
We don't have that here.
No,
And I think that's what makes it so weird.
there's no connection. There's nothing for a Kong to connect with other than just kind of looking in the Jeep and seeing all of us screaming for our lives because we're going to be eaten by dinosaurs.
Yeah, but I think just in an overall sense, I feel like I can kind of forgive the story for being a little wonky. Because everything else around it is just phenomenal. Like, everything from the cue to the Kong encounter at the end, that's really like the one big thing that I keep coming back to. I honestly just want to keep riding just so that I can not only experience all the different drivers and see all the different backstories, but to keep encountering Kong and just being able to keep marveling at this amazing animatronic.
And that's what it's all about in the end.
Yep, just that rewritability. So with Skull Island Reign of Kong, I'm going to go ahead and give it an overall rating of 4 out of 5. Now, to me, this was a truly incredible attraction. I can forgive it for its, kind of lack of immersion and, wonky story pacing.
Well, I'm slightly off. I do love the animatronic. I love the effects, and I love most everything about it. But the lousy pacing, and the sweet motion of Kong, sorry, that's just enough to knock points off me. I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, so that's a 4 out of 5 from SurferClock and a 3.5 out of 5 from TAP-G.
Skull Island Reign of Kong is, for all intents and purposes, an intense ride. Please don't ride it if you suffer from heart conditions, seizures, abnormal blood pressure, back, neck, or similar ailments, motion sickness, or dizziness, if you've had surgery recently, or if you're pregnant.
Children under 36 inches or 91.4 centimeters cannot ride. Those between 36 inches and 48 inches, or 121 centimeters, must be accompanied by a supervising companion. Those in wheelchairs may remain in their wheelchair throughout, but those in scooters will need to transfer to a standard wheelchair. Service animals may also accommodate riders.
Guests must be able to remain upright independently with one upper extremity. That said, you should be able to absorb sudden and dramatic movements like sudden acceleration, sudden stops, or tilting. It is a bumpy Jeep ride through a very dangerous jungle after all. Legs, real or prosthetic, must extend to the edge of the seat and terminate below the knee. And please, no lap sitting.
This ride certainly has its merits. The exterior set, the queue, the graphics, and Kong himself are all really great. There's lots of great stuff here, especially in the traditional aspects. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of the eighth wonder of the world.
It's good, just not great. Worth at least one visit. Well, Smo, he's up, and we're out of bananas!
Hold the door, TAP-G. Let me see if I can get Reese to help.
Gorilla? No kidding. Sure, I don't mind sending him back to Confrontation. That's where you got him, right?
No, I got him at the pet store.
What kind of shady black market exotic animal trafficking of low-life, corrupted sons of bonobos sell friggin' male silverback gorillas?
Place around the corner. Mr. Peebles, got him for only 2 cents.
Why does that sound familiar?
Wait, isn't that...
Ah!
Hiya, everybody! Anybody got any bananas?
Didn't I see you in a cartoon years ago?
Actually, I think you saw him in an old Universal attraction. Wait.
Don't touch that dial! The fantastic world of Hanna-Barbera will be right back after these messages.